relentless years, Victoria had quietly engineered the foundational framework of Apex Logistics, serving as the unsung architect behind every seamless database migration and network protocol. Yet, inside the glass-walled boardroom, new Vice President Marcus dismissively chewed his espresso bean mints while claiming her master's degree from Stanford was merely an outdated relic of a bygone era compared to his son Dylan's untested, modern grandiosity. The packed room remained entirely silent, filled only with the rhythmic, maddening clicking of Marcus's silver pen as he publicly announced that his 24-year-old son would be taking over her department next quarter. Sat utterly motionless, her calloused thumb tracing a faint scar from an emergency midnight server repair while she discreetly activated the digital voice recorder concealed within her leather portfolio. Over the preceding months, Marcus had systematically degraded her role through deliberate omissions, leaving her off critical steering committee invites and publicly deriding her detailed risk assessment flowcharts as overly academic clutter. When she submitted a formal grievance regarding a passive-aggressive public message, Human Resources logged the complaint into a dark archive, effectively granting Marcus free rein to strip down operational oversight and reassign her to a hollow title. Despite the corporate demotion to a windowless basement office, recognized that complex infrastructure does not disintegrate in a single afternoon. Rather, it rots beneath the surface until the entire foundation inevitably buckles. While Marcus paraded around the corporate campus championing his philosophy of skipping traditional quality assurance to maintain hyper-agility, meticulously spent her evenings documenting every architectural vulnerability and cataloging her historical system contributions. Knowing her time at the enterprise was rapidly drawing to a close, she quietly embedded a specialized safety protocol within the core compliance framework, set to trigger if project ownership changed without proper board certification. This automated mechanism was designed to transfer full financial and legal liability directly to the initiating executive if critical regulatory deadlines were bypassed during a leadership transition. On her final Thursday morning, sat in a sparsely furnished conference room, sipping lukewarm Earl Grey tea as Marcus, accompanied by a nervous human resources representative, officially handed her a termination notice masked as a strategic resignation. No outward resistance, simply handing over her security access badge with a cold, measured stillness before walking out to her vintage sedan to let the automated accountability sequence begin its silent countdown. By the following Monday morning, Dylan arrived at the headquarters wearing an unbuttoned designer blazer, immediately declaring that all traditional documentation was officially abolished in favor of rapid, unvetted software deployments. He promptly discarded years of carefully compiled operational manuals into a recycling bin, completely unaware that those very papers held the precise overrides required to maintain the company's federal security certification. Within 72 hours, the operational architecture began to aggressively reject Dylan's reckless modifications, freezing contractor payments and revoking security credentials for key network engineers across 3 continents. In a desperate attempt to regain control, Dylan attempted to access Victoria's old secure file repository late at night, only to find himself completely locked out by her pre-programmed security protocols. Unaware of the impending catastrophe, Marcus proudly sent an all-hands email celebrating their new streamlined era, while the quiet compliance officer named Martha began assembling a paper trail of every ignored system warning. Martha had worked alongside Victoria long enough to recognize that skipping the upcoming mid-year federal safety validation would trigger immediate corporate sanctions from external regulators. When Martha sent a polite inquiry regarding the missing audit trail, Dylan arrogantly replied with a single-sentence email claiming that modern companies do not require ancient bureaucracy to stay competitive. Martha silently printed the dismissive response, filed it into her personal safe deposit box, and notified the external regulatory board that the primary project architect had been removed without a certified successor. Across town in her peaceful garden, Victoria tended to her late summer tomatoes, casually reading frantic text messages from former colleagues detailing the absolute chaos consuming the corporate office. She calmly verified on her laptop that the scheduled compliance daemon had just reached its terminal execution threshold, automatically forwarding a 17-page liability dossier directly to the chairman of the board. The automated dossier clearly demonstrated that Marcus had knowingly violated corporate governance by appointing an unqualified family member while bypassing mandatory federal safety validations. The embedded digital signatures irrevocably transferred all legal exposure directly onto Marcus's personal executive account, stripping away his corporate indemnification shield just as the federal review commenced. On Wednesday morning, the quiet tension in the executive wing shattered when the board chairman unexpectedly arrived via private helicopter to personally inspect the compromised data infrastructure. Marcus, who was mid-sentence boasting about his revolutionary leadership style, turned pale as the chairman held up the printed liability report and demanded an immediate explanation for the missing certifications. With the core servers locked in an unyielding compliance loop and external regulators knocking at the front door, Marcus frantically dialed Victoria's private cell phone, begging her for the administrative recovery keys. Quietly listened to his hyperventilating pleas through the receiver, took a deliberate sip of her tea, and softly reminded him that modern systems are far too advanced for an outdated dinosaur to interfere with before hanging up for good. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you. 3